I have one more minute left, so it looks like 9:59, or excuse me. It's 8:59 my time down here, but it says 9. Okay, so just gotta orientate myself here.
Steve, how you doing?
Good. Good morning. How are you guys?
Good.
Yeah, to double check to make sure we were Zooming today. Last night I had a meeting and I was on site in Traverse City and I thought their meeting was in person. I was on site working all day, and then the meeting in the evening I thought was in person. So I stuck around, and I got to be about 5 o'clock, and the meeting was at 6:30. And the supervisor looked at me and she said, "What are you still doing here?" And I said, "Well, I'm here for the meeting." And she said, "We're still virtual." I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm going to be sitting around the corner from you, and I'll be virtual." So it was a later night drive than I had than I like, from 7:30 to 10:30 by the time I got home.
Yeah.
But anyway.
All right. Speaking about virtual, we are going to get started in this virtual meeting. I almost said 9 o'clock. I have 10 o'clock, so we'll get this meeting started. Call to order. Before we call to the public, I'd like to make two agenda changes. We can probably put under after 7, make it 8 and 9. Would that be okay, Margaret, for the informational issues?
Yes. So
Okay.
I would like to have an information. Do you want me to give you what those are going to be, or just wait till then?
We can wait till then. Surprise us.
Alrighty.
Because we still have a call. We still have a call to the public after that. So if they want to have any comments or anything, so I say we'll have it at those two informationals, 8 and 9, and call to the public will be 10, and adjournment will be listed as 11. You okay with that, Tobin?
Sounds good.
Okay. Let's call to the public. Nicole, is there any public out there?
There is not at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Good. They don't know what they're missing today. Okay. Moving on then, we will consider accepting and placing on file the October 1st, 2020 routine personnel items as presented. And bear with me here because I'm scrolling down and doing all this.
We have a new dispatcher.
I'm sorry, excuse me. I'm sorry, Mr. Hope, excuse me.
I said we have a new dispatcher
Yes, we do.
and 5 step increases.
That's good to
So-
see that the sheriff's department too, a deputy after 4 years, that's competitive, I think. I mean, for what people do in that position. Again, I can't imagine ever, I've said this before, I just can't imagine some of the things walking up, not knowing whether you're coming home at night. It just amazes me. People are willing to do that.
Yes, I agree.
And with, and you look at positions, why you don't want turnover and why you want to be competitive. You look at a position like a dispatcher, unless they're highly, highly experienced, I can't imagine the training that goes into that position as far as, I can barely manage looking at a phone and looking at a screen. I'm failing as that goes. I can't imagine doing that and getting phone calls in both ears and plugging. I see that's how old I am. I'm starting to go plugging things. Yeah, of course they go plug things in, but that's my Barney Fife Mayberry days. But anyway, so I don't see anything out of the ordinary with that. So Tobin, you want to do a motion on that or?
Yes, I'll do a motion to consider accepting and placing on file the October 1st, 2020 routine personnel items as presented.
I will support that. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, we'll have a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. It will go forward. Next up, I believe Mr. Preston, I see his name on the line. And I see his face. You're muted, Pete, so you're going to have to unmute yourself. Equalization, let me get back to my agenda here, so bear with me. I'm looking at my phone. Next up is consider approving the 2020 October apportionment report as presented by the Equalization Department. Pete, you want to go ahead?
Sure, thank you. This apportionment report is based on the 4029 form that's filed by all local jurisdictions by September 30th for the levy onto the winter tax bill. So what happens is equalization will collect all these 4029s. They'll enter into this apportionment report for the spread of taxes. And this is something that's presented in October. However, we do have outstanding that little November election day that we still have two issues that are pending there, Mid-Michigan Community College as well as Sherman. So this is the statutory providing of the apportionment report, which between September 30th and this date right now, we have not received all or been able to tabulate all, and it's expected that we'll have it in your Friday packets for the work session, which I'll be available to go through the same discussion as well. But October is the statutory time, but we will be bringing an amended one to you most likely in November. And that's all I have, unless anyone has any particular questions.
Tobin, you have anything on this?
I don't. Nope.
Now, this is Pete Preston and Steve Korinovic. They love this stuff, but yeah, I have really nothing at this time, especially if it's going to be changed, but I don't anticipate having any comments really on this. So, all right. Well, thank you, Pete.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All
Mr.
right.
Chairman, I'll make
Yes,
a
sir.
motion then
I'm sorry.
that we consider approving the 2020 October apportionment report as presented by the Equalization Department.
And I will support that motion. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, we'll have a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. That will go forward. Next up, consider approving the fiscal year 2021 agreement for extension services between Isabella County and Michigan State University Extension, MSUE, in the amount of $161,743 and authorize the board chair to sign the same. I see Sherry on the line. Hello, Sherry. How are you?
Hi,
Nice
how are you?
Nice background there. I had a conversation earlier about being technically savvy, and that's never going to happen. I tried to put like a fancy little blanket or something behind me to make something like that happen. But if you want to go ahead and start off with the agreement for extension services and where we're at with the county and how long we've been together as a county with MSU and kind of give that spiel, go ahead.
Sure, thank you. What you have in front of you is a memorandum of agreement that I put in front of the board every year to kind of spell out the responsibilities of MSU and then the county. And so this is a continuation agreement. There have been no changes in it. In fact, it is the exact same amount as the fiscal year that just completed September 30th. The arrangement that MSU has with the counties is that the county pays an assessment fee for extension services, and that amount is based on the population per county. So it's, I think it's evenly spread out throughout the state based on the number of residents in the county. And for Isabella County, that assessment amount is $60,692. And that's on page 3 of the agreement. In addition to that, the county has historically paid for a full-time secretary for the department, $65,367. The assessment amount includes a half of a full-time equivalent or FTE for 4-H coordination. The county buys up a half of an FTE to make that a full-time position. And then last year, we started an agreement with the county that they paid a little bit extra, $3,000 to help with the Master Gardener Coordination Program there following the retirement of Belinda, who was doing a lot of work in the county, so that we could really give some support to the Master Gardeners there. I'd like to continue to do that this year. So the total amount of the agreement is $161,743. And as I mentioned earlier, that's the same amount in the agreement that we just completed, and it has been approved in the budget.
Okay. Tobin, you have anything on this?
Just one question, Sherry. I remember last year when we approved that amount for the Master Gardener Coordinator. Can you kind of refresh my memory about what that program is?
Yeah, thank you. What we're trying to do, and we're still in the process of doing it, is I'm actually looking at several of the counties in the district and coming up with some money from each one of them to hire a master gardener or consumer hort coordinator. And so we started that. I'm actually doing that in 4 counties this coming year, and I'm planning on hiring that person. Last year, what we did is we just had other staff members provide support. I went to their meeting, and Paul Gross went to their meeting with me in January. We met with the master gardeners. We helped them through some issues there. We identified some training that they would be interested in pursuing, and then COVID hit. So we weren't successful in actually bringing in that training. We were going to do that in May or June, and that didn't happen. But we've been able to provide them a little bit of support. They were floundering the year before with Belinda having her health issues and then not being able to continue with the group. So we're trying to get them some ongoing support. And I also have Noni in the office providing them some support as well. So that's what we did with the $3,000 this past year, is just gave them some support. And we're going through a system at MSU Extension where all of the master gardeners have to be part of our volunteer selection process, because they work out in the community and they work with different groups of people. And so we're getting them into that system also. So we've spent some extra time and effort on that. But like I said earlier, my ultimate goal, and I'm working on that right now, is to hire a consumer hort coordinator, and using funds from 4 counties in the district to do that, to really increase the amount of support that we can provide to not just master gardeners, but also to anybody in the community that's doing gardening, because there's so much of that going on right now.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi. Can I say
I
something?
saw Nicole Frost on the little screen there, and I didn't realize it was you. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Can I add something, commissioners?
Absolutely, Margaret.
Thank you. Yeah, as I said earlier, we're having some technical issues, Sherry. I don't think you were on then, so I'm on Nicole's. Nicole is right next to me. I'm on her computer. So I just wanted to let you know a couple things, Commissioner. Last year, when Sherry came to me about doing this, I was kind of, I don't know how I feel about taking that forward. I will be honest, and Sherry will support that. It was like, I don't know. I do think that the issue with the master gardeners is that, you know, it's easy for us to support programs for youth, whether they're 4-H or other programs for youth through cooperative extension. It's easy to support a lot of things. I think the issue with master gardeners is that, you know, maybe the issue is, well, if they want, it should be a pay for play totally, and they should be paying their own way, and the public should not be paying it. I understand. I could argue that, but I will tell you that in Isabella County, we have a number of people who are very active in this program. You know, when you walk into our building, if you come in the west doors or the south doors, those gardens are all done by the master gardeners for free. I give them about $200 a year, and the woman who's in charge of it, who has to be 90 years old, God bless her little heart, she's tiny, she's frail, or she's whatever, but if you want to grow something, she's who you want, trust me. And she'll say to me, you know, Margaret, we'd like to, you know, would it be okay? Could we maybe have $200? Yes, Joan, you can have $200. God bless you. But we will come in from the parking lot on days that it has rained so hard that, you know, I'm wearing a raincoat and carrying an umbrella. And these people who are mostly my age, well, way older than I am even, are out there in rain gear doing stuff in the garden. So I think they do a lot of public things. And I think they probably do things that other, I don't know, you know, probably someplace like if you're a large medical organization or a large place, you have your own gardeners, but they do other things publicly. And I think that, you know, especially now that we're looking at what's going on in COVID, and now there's more of a spotlight is on mental health for people who are going through these periods of, you know, long periods of being by themselves, long periods of isolation, you know, looking at these types of things. I think moving forward, it's probably more important than ever that if somebody has a passion for this type of thing, that it's nice that MSU Extension can provide it. And for us, I think, I will tell you, Sherry asked for more. We negotiated it down to 3,000 last year. So I'm comfortable moving forward with that amount in. I can tell you many members of our community are part of the Master Gardener program, and they certainly benefit a great deal, as does the community from it. I think, just my personal opinion.
My only comments on everything is twofold. As far as the Master Gardener $3,000 expense, I look at it as like you can analogize it to an advertising expense. You can spend the money, you truly don't know what you're getting out of it, but listening to Sherry and Margaret speak tells me that I think we're getting good value for the money spent. As to the overall MSU Extension program, comments in the past I know I've made is that the 4-H program and youth, I mean, it's money well spent for the youth of our community and for our community itself. So I have nothing but positive statements for it. So again, that's my little 2 cents worth. So I'll make a motion on this one. Just bear with me here to re-kick on my phone because it keeps going down. Okay. I'll make a motion to consider approving the fiscal year 2020 agreement for extension services between Isabella County and Michigan State University Extension MSUE in the amount of $161,743 and authorize the board chair to sign the same.
And I'll support that.
Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, we'll have a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion will carry. Thank you very much, Sherry. Good seeing you again.
Thank you. Nice to
take
see
care.
you all.
All
Thanks.
Nice
right.
to see you, Sherry. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Next up, consider adopting Isabella County Board of Commissioners Resolution 20-10-01 by a 2/3 vote of the Board of Commissioners to exempt Isabella County from the requirements of Public Act 152 for calendar benefit year of 2021 and authorize the board chair to sign the same. Margaret, you want to go ahead on this one? We've seen
Yes,
this
sir.
every year, but go ahead.
We do this every year, so, thank you, ma'am. So, yes, just to kind of let you know. Thank you. Oh, I have to smile. This Jessica sitting on my left, she's just doing great, taking care of me great. Just to let you know that the Publicly Funded Health Insurance Contribution Act was effective September 27th of 2011. So you have seen it quite often.
Mhm.
And it allows local governments, local units of governments to exempt themselves from the provisions of the act. So what are the provisions of the act? Well, the provisions of the act are basically that publicly funded employers, unless they exempt themselves, have 2 options. They can charge their employees 20%, up to 20% of their premiums, or they can charge them a cap. I'm not quite sure, quite frankly, what the cap would be this year. I'm sure it's approaching $6,000 for a single, probably 12 or 15 for a double, and probably 23, 25 for a family. So there would be a cap you would decide of what you're going to charge our employees. And I know that, certainly I've always recommended and strongly support that our insurance is, it's outstanding, and our employees do appreciate it. And I will tell you, I know that there were some discussions in the budget cycle this year about changing our policy. And I understand that those discussions were, those discussions happened and were perhaps necessary. I will tell you, our employees talk about our insurance a lot, and our premiums go up and down based on what happens the year or 2 before. So, the last couple of years, we've had somebody who had brain cancer. We have a premature child, a premature baby who was in the NICU for quite a while. We had people who had heart surgeries. You have all sorts of these big ticket items, and it's going to cause our insurance rates to fluctuate. Unfortunately, this year they went up for our PPO. They've been down before, and I think last year they were 0 increase. So I'm really happy that, that in that discussion and the decision-making of the board that you chose to kind of stay close to what we have. I know we've changed the cost share a little bit, but this resolution will allow the county to still continue to have the option as you move forward for this next year. And every year down the road, you will still have this option every year. Do you want to opt out or not? Or do you want to charge employees that 20% or the hard cap. And I'm so thankful, not only as an administrator who administers the benefit programs through my office, but also as an employee for the healthcare we have. And I had a meeting this morning in between meetings with Emma Nieport, our payroll benefits person, about an employee we have right now who is having I won't go into detail, but a terrible issue with a pregnancy that is just possibly tragic, in the hospital, and could very well be hospitalized for 3 months until that baby comes. And so, you know, that's the type of stuff that we tell them. You know, we'll put you on family medical leave. You don't need to worry about your job, and we have great insurance. You don't need to worry about your insurance. You worry about yourself and that little baby. So I know that I'm a little, I don't know what I would say I am about our healthcare. I'm a little dedicated to it, and I could, you know, I don't want to lose my perspective as your administrator, but I think we do a great job, and I think that our employees appreciate that. So I would certainly recommend that we continue to opt out. I hope we never find ourselves in a position where we have to not opt out, but that's what gives us the benefit of doing it every year.
Tobin, anything to add?
I'll just add that since I've been on the board, this is one of those things that I always feel good about supporting, voting yes on. It's the right thing to do, and it helps keep the insurance affordable for the employees, and that's important.
Yeah, I would echo that. I think, like I have said before, we've tried to make the county in a position of competitiveness, and this just adds one other feature to it. Try to recruit the best and the brightest, and also keep the best and the brightest. So that's a very positive thing to say. Just my only question, again, just to clarify, I know we have the exemption, we have the cap, we have the 80-20. As far as the exemption goes, does that give the county room to move above 20%, below 20%? How does that work? Let's say a county wanted to increase everything by 50%. By exempting out, would they be allowed to do that? Again, I'm certainly not saying that, but how would that work? Does that allow the county basically free reign over healthcare in decisions or anything like that? How does that work?
If you don't exempt?
No, if you do exempt, what does that mean? And the county basically can set their own rates and set their own employee fee portions and everything like that? Is that basically just, that means the county makes all their own decisions?
I think that, you know, I would want a legal opinion on that before I gave you a definitive answer on that. And if you want to know that, I could certainly ask for a legal opinion. I wouldn't want to tell you what I think and be wrong, or think I know what I'm saying and have it not be accurate. Never had that question before. So I'd be happy to research that and talk to our attorney.
No, I don't want any more money spent for attorneys on that question.
Okay.
Trust me.
Righty.
No. That was that. And again, that was purely like, I don't want to say academically, because that's certainly not my phraseology and anything comes out of my mouth, but that was just a topic. I just wanted to mention that. I guess the only thing I would ask, Margaret, if between now and our meeting, if you could just find out what the cap dollar amount is, if that's possible.
Yep.
Just so we have that information. Again, I would certainly not even think about ever going beyond even a 20%. But I do think it's, again, getting back to the competitiveness. That's, and if anything ever does change, that has to be very well noticed and researched, and doing any changes to any type of healthcare or anything like that. You just can't go and say, well, we're going to do this next month. Well, no, you need to, it's very important to people. And you gave a great example of someone who, you know, you've heard me say this before, take care of people like family.
Exactly.
And that's what you do to your family members. You don't hit them over their head when they're down, and you don't take advantage of them when they're down. So again, I think it's a very positive thing for the community. And I echo Commissioner Hope's statement that it's something it's a good thing as a county commissioner to be able to say, hey, I approve this. So
I agree.
Okay.
As Tobin said, the best answer to this is it's the right thing to do. As you said, it absolutely is the right thing to do.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I'll make a motion then to consider adopting Isabella County Board of Commissioners Resolution number 20-10-01 by a 2/3 vote of the Board of Commissioners to exempt Isabella County from the requirements of Public Act 152 for calendar/benefit year of 2021, and authorize the board chair to sign the same.
And I will support that.
All right, hearing and seeing no further discussion, we'll have a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. It will go forward. Next up is invoice list discussion. Tobin, anything on 10-2?
No, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary that stuck to me.
No, we still have the public defender appointments, but we've already talked about all those before. Hats, Verizon Wireless, pretty much everything straightforward on that. So let me get out of that one and go into the next one. And sorry about that. I told my wife this morning that, I'm going to be going back and forth between my computer screen and a little phone here to view everything. I've reviewed everything, but I didn't print anything up. I'm still a paper guy. I like to have all my little papers sitting out, but I wasn't going to go down, and I didn't do it on Friday when I should have, but oh well, before we left. Tobin, anything on the 9th?
The 9th, no, again, that's stuff we've seen before.
Okay. I have nothing either. So both of those, we don't have to do a motion or anything. Those are just for discussion. So Margaret, I probably should have, we'll move on to 8 and 9. I probably should have had, as a matter of the record, had what the discussions were. So I do apologize for that. But we'll go ahead anyway and start. So go with number 8.
I kind of think, commissioners, that the discussion will probably mesh into one discussion, but I want to talk to you about the Open Meetings Act and then moving forward with our Board of Commissioners meetings. The Open Meetings Act, the changes to the Open Meetings Act that allowed virtual meetings were part of the executive orders. And you may or may not have read your updates from MAC and whoever else you guys read stuff from about, the counties might have to go back. They might have to take action on every action they've taken because of the decision of the Supreme Court. So therefore, maybe the Zoom meetings shouldn't have been allowable under the Open Meetings Act now that they have kind of struck down the executive orders. So Nicole and I were on a phone call last week with an attorney, not our attorney, who is working on a bond issue with the drain projects with us. And that person was really adamant that we would have to have an in-person meeting and redo a resolution for an intercounty drain that they were getting ready to do some bonds on. And I said, why would we have to do that? Well, the Supreme Court struck this down and blah, 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 blah. I said, the information I'm getting, not from the Supreme Court, obviously, or the governor's office, or even MAC, was that there were some actions happening to put kind of a Band-Aid over the Open Meetings Act and do an amendment so that all of us who've been doing remote meetings, that we wouldn't have to go back and have every decision made by the Board of Commissioners, whether it was a motion or a resolution or anything else, ratified. But if that wasn't going to happen, I kind of already had started thinking and talking about how we would do that. So that was that discussion last week. And in my opinion, I thought people were panicking at a way too low of a level over this whole thing and that there would be a fix. Well, last week on Thursday, I didn't get the information till Friday, but on Thursday, the Senate passed Senate Bill 1108. And Senate Bill 1108 is an amendment to the Open Meetings Act. And what it basically says is that there are certain criteria under which meetings can be remote, or people can participate as members of a public meeting remotely. It used to be that basically people could participate remotely because of military service. So if one of you as a commissioner was in the military and you were deployed, you could still participate. The change that's coming down, the recommendation of what passed the Senate, and you can look the bill up, and this is kind of the 32-foot version, but they were allowing that in case of a declared emergency by the governor or a local elected official, that would be a good enough reason to be doing remote meetings. And the executive orders and the declared emergency by the governor are two separate things. The Supreme Court order or decision does not affect the emergency declaration. It affects the orders from the executive orders from the governor's office. So we have a declared state of emergency in Michigan, but we also have a declared state of emergency in Isabella County. And the one in Michigan, I believe, is through the 30th or 31st of October, and then the governor will have to extend it. And of course, the legislation wants to argue that, but we'll see how that goes. But we do have a standing emergency, state of emergency in Isabella County. So when you read through that bill, you will see that they are allowing remote meetings in those situations. They're also allowing remote meetings for medical reasons for members of a public body. It's kind of funky in that it's really talking about medical reasons if you are out of the area. Someone doesn't need to declare where they are or what their medical reason is. So you don't have to say I'm at the Mayo Clinic because I have a heart condition. I mean, that's not going to be part of the criteria. So this flew through the Senate basically last week. On Friday, I had a very nice discussion with Roger Hauk, our state rep. And Roger and I have a great relationship. And I don't want to say we talk a lot, but there's time periods that we talk a lot. And I said to him, you know, Roger, I'm going to need you to help with this. We're going to need to get this passed. And he said, Margaret, we're taking it up Tuesday, which would be today. I would expect it'll come out of the House in a day or two, and it will go to the governor's desk. And he said, I don't think there's any chances this will not pass. So I suppose the House might put a couple little nif-nos on it. But when you pull this up on the website, to get to the Michigan Legislative website, you're going to see that there's options of what you can click open as far as the PDF. You're going to want to click open the second one that's highlighted with a little page that says PDF, because that's the one that passed out of the Senate. That's what they sent to the House. So the House is taking it up today. They are making these amendments retroactive to April 30th in the Senate version. The House might go a little earlier than that, but we're okay because we didn't have meetings in April. So we didn't have board meetings till May. So if it goes back to April 30th, that's fine for us. I don't know what everybody else needs to have done, but it'll be good news for us. The other issue has to do with moving forward. I've talked with some of my team members here in administration, and I talked with Chairman Green. And I know, you know, as we all know, Chairman Green only has about 5 Board of Commissioners meetings left during his term and while he's chairman. And I know that he would like to get it back together in person. There's no way, commissioners, that I can recommend that we do that in this facility in our chambers. I can't keep everybody distant. I can't keep everybody safe. So I'm looking at other venues if we're going to be in person. I think if we were going to do it, we would do what's called a hybrid. So those commissioners who felt comfortable coming in person could come. Those who didn't could do it remotely. That would be absolutely fine. I'm looking at Commission on Aging. We have big rooms out there. I feel that we could probably open 2 of them up. I could certainly keep commissioners way more than 6 feet apart at tables. We'd have enough room for the public if they came. So that's kind of what we're looking at down the road. That won't happen. Certainly not for the next round of meetings, maybe not until the second round in November. We have to kind of figure out what we're doing. We're looking at, you know, sound systems to have out there that would be portable sound systems, similar to those of you who were at the public hearings in our building for the windmills through the Planning Commission. So I've got Tim Nieport, who managed all of that, to kind of be talking to that company and getting me information. So that's a possibility down the road. So I just want to let you know that I don't want people, you know, getting way nervous about, okay, you're going to have to change all your meetings because of the Open Meetings Act is no longer covered under an executive order. It looks like there's going to be a legislative change, and that's going to be very helpful for all of us. So I wanted you to know that. And I wanted you to know that I'm trying to look at if we can do hybrid meetings, not everybody on site, but hybrid meetings, maybe just for the full board starting moving forward. And I would like to talk to you. I will contact all of you individually, or you can certainly contact me to see what your feelings are about that. You know, we have some commissioners who are certainly, you know, over the age of 65, and they're in a vulnerable population. And I'm sure we have things that I don't know about, and I don't need to know about people's health or whatever. So I want to make sure that the commissioners' concerns are taken care of. I would want to have very limited staff there. Other people could be working remotely for the meeting. The other thing that I think has been an unexpected benefit of all this is putting these meetings on YouTube. And it has turned into a really good thing for us. I think that we have a lot more people watching us than we ever had in attendance here. I think it's great for department heads and elected officials who want to know what's going on, but may not want to be here in person, so they can watch. I know the public's watching, whether or not they're participating or not, at least they're watching. And because we're all on our laptops anyways, moving forward, and have been, you know, we can continue to do the Zoom platform and continue to live stream on YouTube and continue to I don't want to say copy it, tape it. I can't can't think of anything as technical as taping the meeting. Taping it so that we have it for people to look at. So those are good consequences that have come out of this situation, I think. And as we move forward, I'm certainly not opposed to doing hybrid meetings. On the other hand, if the Board of Commissioners, when I speak to the commissioners, they're like, Margaret, let's just continue to do it this way. We can do that, but we're going to have to meet the requirements of the Open Meetings Act as it's amended and make sure we're doing that. Now, I will tell you in the criminal justice meeting, it came up, and pardon me for not thinking about this, that people are printing out their packets and you're printing them out at home, which is fine. You can certainly do that. But we can print packets for any commissioners who want that here. And for those of you who are local, we can either deliver them or you could pick them up, or we could leave them at the front desk with the court officer who's here hopefully for a while longer, that group, that's working out great. Or, we could mail them. I mean, there's lots of things that we could do. Or we could give you reams of paper and you could print them out at home. But we're happy to make whatever accommodation will work well for our commissioners. And as we move forward here, it's one of those unintended, you hear about unintended consequences all the time. This has been kind of an unintended benefit. The other thing, which really isn't on this list, but one of the commissioners asked me about remote, and if once the pandemic was over, whenever that's going to be, if we would still allow people to work remotely. And I was saying that, we were a little ahead of the curve in doing the remote policy and you folks approving it, the commissioners approving it. And we already had about 25 people that I had approved to work remote when the closures hit. But I can tell you there's a whole lot more now. I have found it, for me personally, during the lockdown, I had a little transition period for about the first 2 weeks, because I'm used to being around people and I'm a people person, and it was hard for me to kind of work at my kitchen table. But, kind of once you get your system and get yourself set up and you're willing to do it, I can tell you working remotely personally, when I do that, I can do the Zoom meeting there just as easy as I can do the Zoom meetings here, and I can get a lot done. Some of our positions, you can't work remotely. You can't be a deputy and work remotely. You just can't do it. But the court is working primarily, they're doing all of their many of their hearings remotely. Our public defenders are doing their hearings from the public defender's office through Polycom and through Zoom. And we have a number of employees that are working remotely, and we're very satisfied with how that's going. But I just wanted to give you that update about the Open Meetings Act. I don't want people panicking. I know you talk to other commissioners and other counties are doing whatever they're doing, but I think that we're in good hands with our senator, with Rick Outman, and with our state rep, Roger Hauk. I think we're in good hands, and I think we'll have a solution certainly before your meeting, before the end of the week.
Was that
Signed by the governor.
Was that both 8 and 9 there, Margaret?
That was in a little mishmash of 11, which wasn't on there.
All right, let's spread this out then as let's before we get going on it, if Tobin wants to add anything, and I certainly want to make a couple comments on it. As far as number 8 goes, what do you want to list it at?
Why don't you just list it as Open Meetings Act / hybrid meetings and just leave it at that?
Okay, we'll do Open Meetings Act on 8 and hybrid meetings on 9.
Okay.
That's where we said we're going to do that, and then we'll drop everything down. So, Tobin, anything to add on those two topics of discussion?
Just one question, Margaret. Maybe I missed it, but does the Senate bill, the Open Meetings Act, temporarily up to a certain date?
So there's a typo in the Senate bill, and that was discussed in the newsletter that Max sent out last week. The Senate bill has the amendment retroactive to April 30th of this year. And then they have it being through, oh gosh, of course I don't have it with me. They have it being through a date that they want to change. And so I know that they're looking at it being through, is it December? Is it January 1st of next year? But they want it to be January 1st of the following year, because none of us really think the pandemic is going to be done by January 1st. So when you read through it, it's a typo. That effective from April 30th of 2020 to January 1st of 2021, it's supposed to be January 1st of 2022, I'm pretty sure. So that seems to be, I think that hopefully the House will fix that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's all. That's the only question I had.
Yeah, it's speaking on a business standpoint of it, the effective turning down the emergency orders and executive orders and everything. That's not the emergency orders, but the executive orders has created quite some confusion as far as even, just not looking at the Open Meetings Act or the hybrid conversation or anything like that. Even with your COVID policy.
Yep.
I mean,
Well, I got that on my
yeah,
list.
yeah, I mean, good luck with that. You and I have had ad nauseum discussions on that stuff. Wearing masks, how do you enforce somebody if they don't want to wear a mask, and all this other stuff. And there's issues out there that by doing this, I mean, as a political issue, I'm not going to get involved in it, but it's just it's an ongoing thing with the COVID crisis and with the COVID issues and the Zoom meetings and all this other. So hopefully they can correct it. Again, as far as board meetings being all seven of us getting together and doing this, I mean, I would lean to what's best safety wise. So I'm going to not necessarily say, hey, I'm against it or for it. I'm just saying what's best safety wise. I think that's what we really have to look at. So
Yep.
That's my comment is follow. I don't want to say follow the science. That's so misnomer. Let's be safe. And whatever we determine to be safe as a board and as a county, and Margaret, your policies and your statements, I think that's the most important thing. So, okay, that's all I have to add on that.
So I just want to make a comment about the
Go ahead.
executive orders being eliminated. I don't know if all of you have seen the orders now from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services that came out last week. So the health department is offering or releasing orders based on a different statute. And the statute they're referring to is the same statute that was utilized in the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918. County government are the one that got struck down by the Supreme Court was 1945. So now we're using one from 1918. But I don't know if you have seen those orders or not from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. But again, I would Google those. They are taking the place of, and they are now requiring as a health officer order, face masks and how many people can gather and what employers, it refers to what you're doing if you're an employer, what you're doing if you're a school, what you're doing with athletics, whatever. I found that, I don't know what word I would use, I guess somewhat comforting. And they have right in their order that the statute allows law enforcement to enforce it, and they kind of expect them to.
I'm very well aware of that statute. In fact, I put policy out in my stores in regards to kind of saying if someone comes up with the governor's orders no longer in effect, I'll say, yeah, but some people that can take away our business to practice as far as our licenses go can.
Yes.
So we are definitely following that or not mandate order from the HHS, the Department of Health and Human Services Director. So.
Yes.
Okay. Call to the public. Nicole, I'll turn this one to you. Anybody else? Anybody out there for call to the public?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman, there is no public.
Okay, Tobin, anything to add for this meeting?
No, sir.
Okay, as you can see, I'm spinning around in my chair. We are going to be heading out shortly for our little 9 to 10 hour drive back to Michigan. So I'll be in the state come end of the day. So
Safe
everyone,
travels.
well, thank you very much. Everyone have a great day. I'll adjourn the meeting at, got to say this correctly, 10:42. So
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
About right at the moment,
It did.
right?